Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. Man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlilhu fala hadiya lahu. Wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lahu wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما وإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وأحسن الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. We begin with the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Always Merciful. And we aim to copy and bring in our lives the life of the best human being in the world, the Prophet of Allah, the last Prophet of Allah, Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in a very powerful reminder to the human beings, in Surah Munafiqun, reminds us of some very big reality. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون وأنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي أحدكم الموت فيقول رب لولا أخرتني إلى أجل قريب فأصدق وأكن من الصالحين. When a person's ajal, where their death approaches, most people, in fact I would say all people, regret what they could have done and what they didn't do. They look at what they have achieved, because remember, we are going with zero. Zero in terms of the collection that we make in this dunya. We collect homes, we gather money, we gather cars, we even invest. But you know and I know, none of that is going with us. This ayah of Munafiqun is a very powerful reminder. What are you taking with you? Or even better, what have you sent ahead of you? The Prophet ﷺ one time, he asked his Sahaba, do you want viratha for yourself or for your warithin? Do you want what you have gathered for yourself or for those that you are leaving behind? And the Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, we want it for ourselves. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, what you spent while you were able to, I'm paraphrasing, but you need to understand this. The Prophet ﷺ is saying, what you gave away while you had the ability to give with free choice. See, there is a person who on their deathbed realizes the doctor told him, you got cancer you got 3 months. This giving is not the same as somebody who thinks I've got 30 years ahead of me. There's a big difference between the two. The thinking behind one is, it's mine, why would I give it? The thinking behind the other is, I have to give. I don't have no choice. I have to give. But the Quran says, As-sabiqun as-sabiqun, ulaika humul muqarrabun. The ones that exceed, the one that go with speed, the one that go ahead of everybody. How can you compare them with those who came dragged into something? It's not the same at all. Sometimes in one family, one person becomes, within inverted commas, practicing. They start to practice Islam. The young man starts to not shave anymore. The sister starts to wear the hijab. Suddenly, the whole family becomes alarmed. Oh no, what's happening here? This guy is becoming Muslim. We don't want to become so Muslim. It's okay to become Muslim on Friday afternoon. This deen is not pick and choose. Al-yawma akmaltu lakum deenakum. Allah Ta'ala has said, I completed your deen. I have completed it. You don't need to add to it. You don't need to take out of it. You don't need to say, I'll do this on this app. You are implying that Allah Ta'ala somehow gave you something that you don't need to do. Or He gave you something that is not fair. Na'udhu billahi min zalik. Allah Ta'ala here is reminding you, when the time of a person's death comes, this is the one which they have. I, inshallah, in the next few minutes, just want to emphasize this fact. What we are keeping in our pockets, what we are keeping in our banks, what we are holding on like it's dear life. I have seen enough people pass away because of what I do. And I have seen personally how family leaves a person. The person hasn't died yet. The person is alive. But they see abandonment for real. They really find out who their friends are, as they say in English. Imagine your own son, your own daughter, your own wife, your own father, your own dear close family doesn't care about you. They're waiting for you to pass away. Allah Ta'ala reminds us in Surah Abbas, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. That day you will run away from your brother, Akhi, wa ummihi wa abi, your mom and your dad, wa sahibatihi wa bani, your wife and your children. I personally think Allah Ta'ala is showing us the Day of Judgment's mini version right in front of us. Thousands of our brothers and sisters are being killed in Palestine. Children are being made yatim. Women are widowed. Men have lost their families. And we are carrying out like nothing happened. This is exactly a smaller version of the Day of Judgment. The only difference is there everybody is running. It's not as somebody's. The only person who are chilling that day are the ones that Allah Ta'ala has given this special status. And one of the reasons people will chill, literally they will relax on the Day of Judgment, is because they gave away. They put in the sadaqah box. They gave when there was very good reasons to hold. See, this is what Allah Ta'ala wants to see. Are you giving of your own choice? If somebody is twisting your arm and saying, CRA, Canadian Revenue Agency, you have to pay, otherwise I'll take it from you, this is not the same as giving voluntary. Zakat is obligatory. Zakat you have to give. If some reason you and me are not giving zakat, that's a whole different ballgame. I'm talking about sadaqah. I'm talking about the icing on the cake. I'm talking about what is special, what distinguishes you from people that don't give. What's the Quran saying? What I read in front of you. This person is saying, وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Allah Ta'ala is saying, spend from what we have given you. Remember, the mal came from Allah. You and me were not born with a bank account. And although you may and I may die with a bank account, you will have nothing to do with it. That bank account will stay, whether you got $1 million in it or you got a couple of dollars in it. It will not go with you. Allah Ta'ala is saying, if you were to spend before ahadakumul maut, before your death comes. This, if you don't spend, Allah Ta'ala is saying, فَيَقُولَ رَبِّ لَوْلَا أَخَّرْتَنِي. Look at what the person is saying. The person is not saying, Ya Allah, please allow me to do a little bit more work. Ya Allah, please allow me to build another house. Ya Allah, I need my son or daughter to get married. There's only one request he's saying. Ya Allah, why did you bring my death so quickly? Ajalin qareeb. Why? Ajal doesn't come until the time has come. Nobody's death is coming until the time Allah has written down. Sulaiman alayhi salam, as you know, is a prophet who has a special relationship with the jinns, with the unknown of Allah. He can speak to the birds can speak to him. You know the story of Hudhud, it's there in the Quran. So one day, him and his friend are sitting in his vast court. And this friend notices there is another person present in that court who's really looking at him very intently, really close. If somebody watches you very closely, you will notice. And then that man walks away, and this friend of Sulaiman alayhi salam asked him, who was this man? He was really looking at me very intensely. Sulaiman alayhi salam said, that's Malak al-Maut. That's the angel of death. Man became scared. He said, oh, angel of death looking at me, not good news. He said to Sulaiman alayhi salam, you have the ability to send and bring from far off. I want to go to India right now. Remember, there were no airplanes those days. There's no guarantee, even if you have an airplane today, they'll get a seat on it. But this is what he requests. Sulaiman alayhi salam said, no problem. The man finds himself in India. Who does he see there? Malak al-Maut again. And Malak al-Maut, he says, Allah had asked me to remove your soul in India, and I'm looking, he's sitting in Iraq. How will I do that? So we have an appointment with Malak al-Maut, whether we like it, whether we agree with it, whether we accept it, makes no difference. The difference is, like I said, how do we spend our money when the opportunity arises? And I'm not talking about buying a new car. I'm not talking about redecorating the house. I'm not talking about moving into a better location. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if somebody says, hey, there are 500 Muslim families who have no masjid in a part of the town that you live in. You guys all know the feeling. How does it feel like? You have nowhere to learn your deen. Your son comes home with a complicated question. Dad, why was Aisha radiallahu anha a young girl when she was married to the Prophet? You can't answer. Somebody comes and says, how come Muslims are committing so many atrocities across the globe? How is this religion married to violence? Nonsense. But the point is, if there is nobody to answer these questions and our youngsters are hearing these questions, take another fitna. Our youngsters predominantly unmarried. 30 plus youngsters, ladies and women and men walking the streets unmarried. What Islam are you planning to introduce if so many people are potentially being involved in actions that shaitan loves? You don't think shaitan is always going to come at you with a known, very obvious thing. Shaitan is going to come at us from very strange places. Put shubha in your mind. Yeah, how did that happen? For a man and a woman, yeah, marriage is not so easy. My father didn't talk about it. My mother didn't talk about it. They talked about a career. Hundreds of people from a country in the Middle East came to a country in South America called Chile and Venezuela. We're talking about the beginning of the 20th century, sorry. The emphasis became, let's make a good life. Islam was given low priority. The Prophet ﷺ migrates from Makkah to Medina, first thing, Masjid. First thing, Masjid. We are moving from place A to place B, let's get a house. Let's make sure there's a good car. Let's make sure our kids are in good schools. Concern about the deen of this child, close to zero. Outsourcing everything. Oh yeah, my son is learning Quran from a website. or online. Subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala placed you and me in this country for this purpose, that we outsource our deen, hand over our children to people that don't care about the akhirah, about the next life. That's what's effectively me and you are doing. So imagine the child hears all day zero about Allah. He hears dissing of Islamic values. He finds people improperly clothed, language that's inappropriate. He comes home, father is not home. Mother doesn't have answers to the question this young man or young woman is asking. What do you think happens in 10 years' time? The aqidah, the belief system of this son and daughter is destroyed. That's exactly what happened in Chile and Venezuela. One generation later. You can look up, it's not unknown, it's very well known. Within a couple of generations, Abdur-Rahman and Fatima didn't even know the Shahada. Name is Abdur-Rahman, name is Fatima, Alhamdulillah, but that's where it ends. How do you think that happened? No good blaming others. We have to look at ourselves. How much investment was done into places that would have protected our deen? How much? What do you think is the value of a child that grows up as a strong Muslim or a Muslim? What's the value? What do you think is the benefit of having confident Muslim fathers and Muslim mothers? What do you think? You can't place a price on this. We have to, my brothers and my sisters in Islam, think deeply about what the reason for our coming to this country is. And okay, maybe the reason was perhaps a little bit messed up, but now is the time to reassess. I don't want to stand in front of Allah and Allah Ta'ala asks me, what did you do with the knowledge that you have? What did you learn and what did you do with it? Imagine my answer is, I learned how to become a good doctor, but I didn't teach my wife the Quran. My son and my daughter got into strange relationships because I didn't take care of this part of their life. They became doctors, they became engineers, but they left the deen in the process. How are you going to answer this question? What's going to happen? We are investing so much in something that is aridi, temporary, and we are ignoring so much that is daimi, permanent. May Allah Ta'ala make me and you reflect deeply on what it is that we are investing in. Where is our time and energies being spent? What are we doing with it? What did we want to do and what has ended up happening? And if it has ended up happening, what is our plan? How do we intend to get out of this solution and this problem, if anything at all? May Allah Ta'ala give me the ability to act the advice I'm giving all of you. Ameen. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Some years ago, I witnessed the dafn of a physician in a western province. I noticed that the people who were helping him being laid in his qabr were not his family. People pointed out that there were 4 boys. He had 4 sons. They were standing good distance away from the dad's dafn. It transpired that they had very little, if anything, to do with Islam. This very eminent physician married a non-Muslima and then got busy with life. Sounds familiar? It's a very common story. Now you're leaving this dunya and people who are witnessing it are wondering, Subhanallah, The sons don't even want to put their father in his grave. Why? Why would that be? The simple answer is, my brothers and my sisters in Islam, the way you live your life is the way you will meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ used to make a dua. He used to ask Allah, Ya Rab, give me husnul khatma. Ya Allah, let my end be a good end. What's a good end? The good end is to be able to say the Shahada. The good end is to be able to have said to yourself, I have done what I could to make sure that Allah does not question me with the means that He had given me. I came to live in a country where there was no Islam at all. I speak to people who came in the 70s and 80s. You can hear the pain they feel at there being no masajid, there being no madaris, there being no promotion or even protection of your Islam. And we are all, mashallah, now hundreds of us. But what are we doing to protect what we have? You never buy a car and drive it, never get it serviced. Never happens like that. And if you did, you'll one day find yourself standing in the middle of nowhere with your car broken down. Why? Because you never did anything to fix it. Why do you think Islam is any different? If we are not protecting our Islam, if we are not helping those who are trying to bring their community close to Allah Ta'ala by building masajid, and we are building one of them in Bowmanville, where I come from. We've had the opportunity, alhamdulillah, to buy a church and a chapel. Why? Because we find our youngsters are lost. We find we are lost. We see each other in Walmart, we see each other in Tim Horton, but we don't know if that person is a Muslim or not. Imagine the beauty of a place where you are welcomed as a Muslim. You came from a new country, no problem. You have a place, second home. Your children want to get married, we have a marriage service. We will inshallah get them together. We are not shadi.com, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we arrange proper understanding. Surgeon is training for 10 years. Engineer is training for 8 years. How long is husband training for? 0. How long is wife training for? 0. Not surprisingly, divorce rates up, separation up, young children being thrown from A to B up. Our masjid, inshallah, the new masjid, will have a counter to this by making sure we have a proper workshop. And last but not the least, is a dawah program. By dawah, I don't mean non-Muslims, by the way. I know this is what it comes to mind. I'm seeing in my own experience, 50 to 60% young Muslims don't have Islam anymore. They are like junkyard cars, they're not roadworthy. You speak to them, don't even have to speak to them. You just look at the lifestyle they're living. And it's not their fault. I'm not implying their fault at all. I'm just implying what was given to them is what they found important. Well, the father taught him, son, you must have a better car than I did. You must live in a better home than I did. You must live the high life because I couldn't. But that son was never gotten up for Fajr. That daughter was never told, my young sister, you will be the Muslimah that will guide the whole family. If these values are not put in our hearts from our fathers and our mothers, if the children see Allah as being talked about but never acted upon, it doesn't take a rocket scientist for them to figure out this is just words. This is just qila waqal. We just like to talk about it. We cannot be like this anymore. We have to wake up from this deep slumber that we're in and not only support those that are doing this work, but also be active supporters so people know these are not people that are joking. These are not people that are just talking. They have put their money where their mouth is. May Allah Ta'ala make me and you all people that defend Islamic institutions in this country. May Allah Ta'ala make us people that think about our children's future, not just in this world, but in the next world also. May Allah Ta'ala make us people that these children make dua for us when we are gone, not stand away from our dafan. May Allah Ta'ala give us children that defend Islam, not just in this country, but from here rises the defense of our brothers in Palestine. From here, our brothers in Kashmir. From here rise our brothers who defend our sisters in Iraq, in Yemen. These are not things that are isolated. We are a global community. We must act like a global community, and we must give our children the strongest defense they have, which is the Aqidah of Islam. Allahumma ighfir lil mu'mineen wal mu'minat wal muslimin wal muslimat wal ahya'i wal amwat. ربنا هب لنا من ازواجنا وذرياتنا قرة اعين واجعلنا للمتقين اماما. لا اله الا انت سبحانك اني كنت من الظالمين. اللهم اني اسالك العفو والعافية في الدنيا والاخرة. اللهم اني اعوذ بك من علم لا ينفع ومن قلب لا يخشع ومن نفس لا تشبع ومن دعوة لا يستجاب لها. اللهم اصلح احوال المسلمين والمسلمات في كل مكان. اللهم بارك لنا في ولاة امرنا واصلهم واصلح بطانهم. آمين يا رب آمين. ان الله واخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. اقيموا الصلاة ان شاء الله. Make sure we fill all the gaps, brothers and sisters, inshallah. Shoulder to shoulder, inshallah. No gaps. Please allow some room right next to the entrance to the musalla so people who come late can also come in, inshallah. Please make sure there's no gaps, my brothers and sisters. Please make sure that there is no gaps. The Prophet ﷺ used to emphasize two things: straightness of the sufuf and the completion of the sufuf. Are we good, inshallah?
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين إن المتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة. الله أكبر. Sami Allahu liman hamida. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. So, as I mentioned, we are here today, inshallah, from the Masjid in Bowmanville. Our volunteers are outside, inshallah. We are a charity, so if anybody wants to give an amount that they want tax deductible, inshallah, we have it.
Just for the people who's going out, please, if you could just participate in this program. Just if you can give us 1 second. Jazakumullah khair. This is wallahi opportunity for each person. The day the people are opening masjid far away and coming to you, wallahi, this is opportunity for us. Instead of you going far away, you're opening a masjid. You cannot miss this opportunity. Please make sure you pay whatever you can. Pledge or play. Do not miss a day like this. Dr. Rashid is always here coming from all this to help us out in this community. Now, alhamdulillah, they have how many families you guys have there? A lot of families.
500.
There you go. They need a place to stay with. Otherwise, we're going to end up like Chile or Venezuela. Jorge Muhammad, I know that. I know exactly what he's talking about. Carlos Ali, that's what they have. So this is an opportunity for us. This is Sadaqah Jariyah. Don't miss out. $50. Forget about donation today to this masjid. Don't donate. Donate for that woman. Please, Jazakumullah khair. Each person, when you're going out, please give $50 lillah to the masjid. So we can finish this project, inshallah. May Allah bless you all, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair.
I'll tell you something else. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, if one person is guided through what you did, one person. This is not my words. This is the best human being in the world. He's saying if Allah guides one person through you, that is better than everything you can think of in this world. Imagine one person became Muslim because of you donating to this masjid today. Imagine this continues, you are long gone, and that is continuing to be Sadaqah Jariyah. It's ongoing investment. I can't emphasize enough. Alhamdulillah, I've known Brother Ibrahim and you guys for a long time. I don't do this for fun. I do this when I think our children's Islam is in danger. I seriously think that our Islam and our children are in bigger danger than any disease that I can think of. So please, for the sake of Allah, as Brother Ibrahim said, don't leave without giving. And if you can't give, if you have that circumstances, take a flyer. Give it to somebody else. The somebody does good because of what you did, inshallah, ajr will come back to you. Don't take Allah Ta'ala for anything but what He is. He's Kareem. Allah Ta'ala has no problem giving. Allah Ta'ala cannot ever say no to somebody who's putting his hand out, say, Ya Rab, I'm giving for your Shaykh. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair.
Something different.